Hey guys, it is Jeremy again. Welcome back to Books and Coffee. Today I have a very exciting video for you, and that is going to be my brand new series on this channel. When I'm not reading and reviewing books or talking about other books or book-related videos, I'm going to be doing what I'm calling season reviews, which is where I will take one video to review individually a certain season of a TV show, and I'm going to be kicking it off with a show that I'm kind of obsessed with right now, and I'm going to be talking about season 1 of the Vampire Diaries. And kind of the beginning of each kind of show, because I'm going to be starting with talking about the Vampire Diaries, and then I will continue with season 2, 3, and etc. I'm going to be trying to upload 2 season reviews of each show, so I will continue with this entire show until I have completed reviewing the entire show, and then once that is done, I will do the conclusion video, which is going to be the series review, and then I will move on to a different show. I've been wanting to do this for a lot of different shows: Charmed, Buffy, Angel, Smallville, Ghost Whisperer, The Vampire Diaries, Merlin, and the list goes on and on. When I'm not reading books and working my ass off, I am watching TV shows, which is like my go-to thing. I love doing that. It's always been a really big passion of mine. And so we're going to start talking about what this show is. Now, this show is kind of loosely based on the Vampire Diaries book series by L.J. Smith. So we're going to be talking about what the basic premise of this TV show is. So the opening pilot, we follow our main protagonist of the show. For the most part, her name is Elena Gilbert, and the summer before, she had lost her father and her mother in a car accident. She was also in that same car accident, but she was the only survivor, and she's kind of always questioned, why did I make it out of that and they didn't? She kind of always questioned that, and she does get her answers as the show progresses. And so she has her younger brother named Jeremy, who's in this very druggy alcohol stage. He's very much kind of emo, very, a lot of emotions, and, he's kind of dealing with his parents' death in just a little bit of a different way than Elena is. And then we also have Elena's best friends named Caroline Forbes, Bonnie Bennett, and then we are introduced to a brand new character named Stefan Salvatore, which from the very beginning we know that he is a vampire, but Elena does not know that. And so we get this kind of, I don't know, it's really hard to describe, but there's a lot of intensity in this show. There's a lot of very teenage angsty drama, but that's not a bad thing if it's done really well, and I think the show exceeds at that. They're really able. We also have a diverse character in here. Her name is Bonnie, and we also get to see her grandmother. I think Sheila is her name. She pops up several times in this season as well. But basically it's this is set in the town of Mystic Falls, which differs from the town that is known in the books. The town in the books is called Fells Church, but for a lot of legal reasons they had to change that to Mystic Falls. But I do very much respect that there is a church in Mystic Falls that is called Fells Church, and I love that that's a nice little nod to the town name of the book series. What I really liked about this is the characters. I think if you don't have really well likable, really loved characters, your show is just not really going to make it. And Elena from the books, she's blonde, she's a cheerleader, she's very popular, very bitchy, kind of this mean girl-esque type character. And I think I understand why they changed it. She has brown hair in the show, and I understand why they changed some things around when developing the series. I'm going to set this down because it's but these are our main 3 characters, by the way. So we have Damon, Elena, and Stefan. Stefan also has a older brother. I don't know exactly how much older. I'm guessing at least 5, maybe 6 years older. That's probably speculation because I don't know exactly how much older Damon is, but he is Stefan's older brother. And there's a lot of kind of things about them becoming vampires and how they became vampires, and there is definitely a kind of grudge between the two brothers. Damon very much does not like his younger brother at all, and we don't really know why in the beginning, but the only thing that we know as viewers is that Damon promised his brother an eternity of misery. And he excels at that. He is not the typical vampire. Stefan he chooses to not feed off of humans. He chooses to feed off of animal blood because he doesn't want to hurt anyone, which was a very interesting character of vampires. But I like kind of both. I can understand why they would choose to live that way because they don't want to hurt humans, but I also understand the people that, feed off vampires because human life means nothing to them. They're both very interesting. I definitely prefer the whole evil, vindictive, very pure in their nature type vampires. They're much more unpredictable and they're more fun to watch. I really enjoy vampire characters like that. We get to see them a few in Anne Rice's works, as well as this show, as well as other vampires in other media such as Buffy the Vampire Slayer and the spin-off Angel. It has vampire characters like that as well. But what I loved about the show mostly was the beginning of the show has a romance between Stefan and Elena, and we get to see that blossom come full swing through the course of just season 1, so I'm not really going to be talking about the rest of the show, but it is a very wonderful kind of period of them kind of getting to know each other, horrible things happening at the fault of Damon, and then we get to see people dying, people disappearing, people getting bitten. We get to see there is something that they introduced called the Town Council, which they are known as the Council of Mystic Falls, and I love the very small-knit town having a town council that is basically against vampires, and they have for 150 years been this town council through the generations to protect the town of Mystic Falls against vampires at all costs. In fact, what I really love about the world of the Vampire Diaries is that there's witches exist within this world, and Bonnie, Elena's best friend, is a witch, very powerful witch, but she doesn't really know what she is at the beginning of the show, so it's kind of her kind of coming into her own, and her, developing as a character and finding out what she is and what she can do. She's a bit reluctant to get into the magic, but then at other times she can't wait. So it's a really interesting storyline for her to develop her magic and develop as a character. What I really like about the vampires is that they have things called daylight rings, where a witch can spell a piece of jewelry and vampires can walk in the sunlight. So it's kind of interesting to see that humans are being bitten, and yet the town council doesn't understand how this is because it's daylight. So it's a lot of, unpredictable. Will they find out about the magic rings? Will Stefan and Damon be outed as vampires to the town? There's a lot of unpredictability in this first season, which is what makes this show so good. And then there's also a lot of incredibly deep, rich history of the town of Mystic Falls, going back to 1864, which is the year that Stefan and Damon meet Catherine Pierce, and how she was the one who turned Stefan and Damon into vampires, and we get to see more and more of why Damon absolutely refuses to forgive Stefan and why he hates him so much, to the part where he even says that he wants Elena to die. He constantly manipulates things to his situation to ruin things between Stefan and Elena, and it just brings a lot of unpredictability, and it really makes the show very impossible to stop watching it. There's a lot of really engrossing storylines here. One of my favorite ones was when Damon kind of informed Stefan that basically back in 1864 the town had found out about vampires and had poisoned everybody with a herb called vervain. Vervain is a nature, basically it's a plant, but it's incredibly toxic to vampires. And we get to see, not only in this season, but throughout the entire show, it being poisoned to basically sedate vampires. And basically everyone is injected with vervain and then put into a church, and they set the church on fire. Except for Bonnie's ancestor Emily, basically basically there was a tomb underneath the church where all the vampires were being held, and she spelled it to protect them. So they have been in that church, and that's where Damon believes Catherine is. And we actually find out that she's not in there, but there's 27 vampires that were put into the tomb and protected from that said fire, which the town council in 1864 believed all the vampires had perished in that fire, which is a little bit weird why they didn't look into that church and didn't find any kind of remains, because, unlike, vampires like Buffy, when you kill a vampire, they just turn to dust or ashes. Vampires are not like that. Even if you stake them, there's still a physical body that is left behind. A little bit weird that that was never brought up, but I guess I don't really think of it as that much of importance. And so what's really interesting is to find out that when a vampire hasn't fed for so long, literally their body will begin to desiccate, which Catherine in the second season, basically the blood that did once flow in your body almost dries up, and it's almost like every time you would move, it's almost like your blood and veins being pressed against like sandpaper, and that sounds incredibly painful. And so Stefan says that they were in a lot of excruciating pain in the beginning, but basically they can do nothing but lay there or stand there, or however they're in this tomb, and they cannot move. And the very thought of being able to like find that out throughout that storyline, that small little arc of several episodes, was very, very interesting, and it was probably one of the most interesting aspects of the season. So this is basically, in a nutshell, what this is. I love Damon. He is my favorite character of the season. He was definitely the most interesting character of the season, and he was one of those very evil. He has a relationship with Caroline Forbes in this season, and we get to kind of see that, and it's kind of interesting that he kind of uses her as a kind of like a spy, basically, to kind of do his bidding, which is he's an evil vampire, and I love that about him. And he doesn't care who he kills, he doesn't care who gets in the way, and I love those kind of characters. And we get to see him become that character, and with Elena, I think both of them really fell in love with her because she looks exactly like Catherine. And I wonder if I think they did initially fell in love with her because of that, but I think they also grew very, very much to like her beside of that. And kind of interesting seeing Damon as this character that hates his brother so much, but I think being able to, he does have respect for Elaine, and he does begin to fall in love with her, and I think that begins to help change who he is, but not completely. I think we as people, we're always gonna carry that kind of resemble aspect of who we are. I mean, we are going to change as people, but there are certain things that's never going to change, no matter how hard we may want to change that. It was really interesting to see that development in Damon's character, certainly. So this was my season reviews for Vampire Diaries Season 1. I don't know when I will put up my review for Season 2. Probably will be next week. One small side note, I am currently moving back to overnights working for Walmart. So I will, so my days off are going to be, okay, today's Monday. So Tuesday night and Wednesday night. So my videos will be uploaded probably at 3-4 o'clock in the morning. But Tuesday and Wednesday. So essentially it'll be like Wednesday, Thursday nights, basically. But anyway, this is my review of the Vampire Diaries Season 1. Let me know what you thought of this video and this new series of mine, as I've promised to make this series for a while. I will try to make a playlist for all of Vampire Diaries season reviews put together when there's enough of these. Probably when I get to like Season 3 or 4, I'll probably make a playlist for it. So let me know what you guys think, and I hope you have a great day, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye!